And I love you, you know? Wow. I love you.
Love you, Barry.
I love you, Barry Z. Okay.
Love you. Air kiss.
Hi, it's Barry Z from the Barry Z Show at home with the legend, Sheldon Harnick, right?
If you say so.
In terms of the future, going on or going, to the next page of the book. First of all, is there a book about your life available, or do I have to write it?
There is a biography of Jerry and me. I can't remember the title of it. I think it's called the Rogers and Hammerstein. No, I'm kidding. There is a book about Jerry Bach and me. I don't remember the title, and it was pretty good. It was pretty good. Yeah.
I have to bring it to the film version.
The book that I'm recommending to everybody right now, however, is a wonderful book called Wonder of Wonders, with a subtitle, A Cultural History of Fiddler on the Roof, by a woman named Elisa Solomon. It's a big, fat book. The first third of the book has nothing to do with our production of Fiddler. It's about all the previous productions of shows that were based on Tevye's Daughters. Then there's a long middle section that's about the production that originated in 1964, and then there's the last part of the book is about other productions, and it's just wonderful. Her research has been terrific. Wow. She's a wonderful writer.
Should be a bestseller.
I think for that kind of a book, I think it is.
A fiddler on the roof. Sounds crazy, no? But in our little village of Anatevka, you might say every one of us is a fiddler on the roof, trying to scratch out a pleasant, simple tune without breaking his neck. It isn't easy. You may ask, why do we stay up there if it's so dangerous? We stay because Anatevka is our home. And how do we keep our balance? That I can tell you in one word. Tradition!
Tradition! Tradition! Tradition! Tradition! Tradition! Tradition!
Because of our traditions, we've kept our balance for many, many years. Here in Anatevka, we have traditions for everything. How to eat, how to sleep, how to work, how to wear clothes. For instance, we always keep our heads covered and always wear a little prayer shawl. This shows our constant devotion to God. You may ask, how did this tradition start? I'll tell you. I don't know, but it's a tradition. Because of our traditions, everyone knows who he is and what God expects him to do.
Who day and night must scramble for a living, feed a wife and children, say his daily prayers, and who has the right, as master of the house, to have the final word at home? The Papa! The Papa! Tradition! The Papa! The Papa! Tradition!
We must know the way to make a proper home, a quiet home, a kosher home. Who must raise a family and run the home, so Papa's free to read the holy book.
The Mama! The Mama! Tradition! The Mama! I started Hebrew school, at 10 I learned a trade. I hear they picked a bride for me, I hope she's pretty. The sons, tradition, the sons, tradition.
And who does Mama teach?
And in the circle of our little village, we have always had our special types. For instance, Yenta the matchmaker.
Avram, I have a perfect match for your son, a wonderful girl.
Who is it?
Rochel, the shoemaker's daughter.
Rachel, she's almost blind. She can hardly see.
Tell the truth, Avram, is your son so much to look at? The way she sees and the way he looks, it's a perfect match.
And Nachum the beggar.
Arms for the poor, arms for the poor.
Here, Reb Nachum, is 1 kopeck.
1 kopeck. Last week you gave me 2 kopecks.
I've had a bad week.
So, if you've had a bad week, why should I suffer?
And most important, our beloved rabbi.
Rabbi, may I ask you a question?
Certainly, my son.
Is there a proper blessing for the Tsar?
A blessing for the Tsar. Of course. Baruch atah Hashem Elokeinu. May God bless and keep the Tsar far away from us.
Then there are the others in our village. They have a much bigger circle. His Honor the Constable, His Honor the Priest, His Honor many others. We don't bother them, and so far they don't bother us. And among ourselves we get along perfectly well. Of course, there was the time when he sold him a horse and he delivered a mule. But that's all settled now. Now we live in simple peace and harmony. It was a mule.
It was a horse!
It was a mule!
No, I tell you, it was a horse! Why would I
Tradition. Without our traditions, our lives would be as shaky as a fiddler on the roof.
What is Sheldon Harnick's favorite song or favorite lyrics?
Oh, I love all my children. I don't have favorites. I don't play favorites. I think my lyrics would come back to bite me if I did. They would give me nightmares.
Really? The songs that you composed and wrote for fiddler are the most incredible music I've ever heard in my life.
That's because you never heard The Body Beautiful.
Sunrise, sunset. Oh. Matchmaker, make me a match.
Matchmaker, make me a match. Find me a find, catch me a catch. Matchmaker, look through your book and make me a perfect match. Matchmaker, I'll bring the veil. You bring the groom, slender and pale. Bring me a ring, for I'm longing to be the envy of all I see.
Course to you.
No, my friend, to you.
To the both of us.
To our agreement.
To our agreement. To our prosperity. To our good health and happiness. And most important, to life. To life. L'chaim. L'chaim. To life. Here's to the father I tried to be.
Here's to my pride to be.
Bring l'chaim to life. To life. L'chaim. L'chaim to life. Life has a way of confusing us,
Laughing and bruising us.
bring l'chaim to life.
It gives you something to think about,
Something to drink about. Drink L'Chaim to life!
Let's vodka! Yes, and Lou! Drinks for everybody! I'm taking myself a bride! Who is 10 years old and cycle! To lay the room
To Tevya!
since I know your daughter, my wife! May all your futures be pleasant ones, like our present ones. Drink L'Chaim to life, L'Chaim. L'Chaim, L'Chaim to life. It takes a wedding to make us say, let's live another day. Drink L'Chaim to life. We'll raise a glass and sip a drop of schnapps in honor of the great good luck that favored you. We know that when good fortune favors you, such merit and good reason, we deserve it too. To us and our good fortune, be happy, be healthy, long life. And if our good fortune never comes, here's to whatever comes. Drink L'Chaim
beginning to talk like a man. On the other hand, what kind of match would that be to a poor tailor? On the other hand, He's an honest, hard worker. On the other hand, he's got absolutely nothing. On the other hand, things cannot get worse for him. They can only get better. They gave each other a pledge, unheard of, absurd. They gave each other a pledge, unthinkable. But look at my daughter's face. She loves him. She wants him. But look at my daughter's eyes, so hopeful. Tradition. Well, children, when shall we make the wedding? Thank you, Papa.
I promise you, I'm telling you, won't be sorry.
I won't be sorry. I'm sorry already.
Thank you, Papa.
They pledged their troth. Modern children. Golden. What am I going to do about Golden? What am I going to tell Golden? Help!
Also, you were wonderful. It was a miracle. it was a miracle. Wonder of wonders, miracle of miracles. God took a Daniel once again, stood by his side, and miracle of miracles, walked him through the lion's den. Wonder of wonders, miracle of miracles. I was afraid that God would frown, but like he did so long ago in Jericho, God just made a wall fall down. And Moses softened Pharaoh's heart, that was a miracle. When God made the waters of the Red Sea part, that was a miracle too. But of all God's miracles, large and small, the most miraculous one of all is that out of the worthless lump of clay, God has made a man today. Wonder of wonders, miracle of miracles. God took a tailor by the hand, turned him around, and miracle of miracles, led him to the promised land. When David slew Goliath, yes, that was a miracle. When God gave us manna in the wilderness, that was a miracle too. But of all God's miracles, large and small, the most miraculous one of all is the one I thought could never be. God has given you to me.
Dear God, you know you made many, many poor people. I know it's no great shame to be poor, but it's no great honor either. What would have been so terrible if I had a small fortune? If I were a rich man, all day long I'd pity, pity, bum. If I were a wealthy man, I wouldn't have to work hard. If I were a pity, pity rich, diddle, man, I'd build a big tall house with rooms by the dozen right in the middle of the town. A fine tin roof with real wooden floors below. There could be one long staircase just going up and one even longer coming down, and one more leading nowhere just for show.
I'd fill my yard with chicks and turkeys and geese and ducks for the town to see and hear, squawking just as noisily as they can. And each loud will land like a trumpet on the ear, as if to say, here lives a wealthy man. If I were a rich man, all day long I'd bitty bum. If I were a wealthy man, I wouldn't have to work hard. If I were a bitty rich, I'd see my wife, my Goldie, looking like a rich man's wife with a proper double chin, supervising meals to our heart's delight. I see her putting on airs and strutting like a peacock. Oh, what a happy mood she's in, screaming at the servants day and night. The most important men in town will come to fawn on me. They will ask me to advise them, like a Solomon the wise. If you please, Reptavia, pardon me, Reptavia, posing problems that would cross a rabbi's eyes. La and it won't make one bit of difference if I answer right or wrong. When you're rich, they think you really know. If I were rich, I'd have the time that I lack to sit in a synagogue and pray, and maybe have a seat by the eastern wall. And I discuss the holy books with the learned men 7 hours every day. That would be the sweetest thing of all. Oh, if I were a rich man, all day long I'd bitty bum. If I were a wealthy man, I wouldn't have to work hard. Lord, who made the lion and the lamb, you decreed I should be what I am. Would it spoil some vast eternal plan if I were a wealthy man?
I have to tell you a charming anecdote. You just reminded me. A couple of years ago, Jerry Bach was invited to go to the country of Iceland. I don't know whether Iceland does this anymore, but for a while every year they honored a composer. And one year they honored Jerry Bach. So he went to Iceland, and when he came back, I said, how was it? He said it was sensational. Their symphony orchestra did my songs, their choruses did and he said they did songs from Fiddler. He said it was wonderful, but they changed one of your lyrics. I said, they did? What? He said, yeah, they did Sunrise, Sunrise.
Is there any regrets you have at all in terms of your career, in terms of composing music for, shows that you never had the opportunity to do or that you wanted to do?
The only regret that I have is that I wish that I were more disciplined, because there are shows that I'm working on which really I should have finished a long time ago, and yet I take too much time to enjoy life and to do the things I love to do instead of devoting a little more time to working at my craft.
Like golf?
No, my father was a golfer, and as a matter of fact, that's one of the reasons why my brother and I did not play golf. Wow. He tried to teach us, and I thought he was going to break a club over our heads.
Wow.
Yeah.
So going forward, we can anticipate the revivals again of, let's see, Fiddler, She Loves Me.
We're hoping that the Roundabout will do Fiorello. And I know that Todd Hames, if he could find the right star to do the role, he would do it tomorrow. But I'm working on a musical based on a Molière play, The Doctor in Spite of Himself. That's about ready to go. And I may try, Sherman Yellen and I are hoping to do something with Rex. The show...
The Rothschilds.
And the Rothschild and Sons, yes. Arnold Mittelman is trying to do something with the new version of that. Then there's the show with David Baker, Smiling the Boy Fell Dead. I'm going to try and do something with that. So I've got things lined up. And I have a couple of ideas for new musicals, but I'm not going to tell them to you, Barry, because I could see from the look in your eye you would steal it.
Yeah, of course, me. No, I would just embellish it. But talk to me about this statue here. You have an interesting story. This is Fiddler on the Roof, no?
What Barry is talking about, I guess you can see it. It's a little piece of sculpture, and it's a violinist sitting on top of a roof and playing it. And it turns out that the sculpture was made by Herschel Bernardi's brother, who apparently was a sculptor and did this, and I fell in love with it when I saw it. I don't remember where I saw it, but I said I have to have that, so I bought it.
And Herschel was one of the Tevias.
Herschel, originally in the first production that started in 1964, we had 6, maybe 8, I don't remember, we had a number of different Tevias, one after the other, and for my money, Herschel was the best of them. He was musical, he was a disciplined actor, he had a fine sense of comedy, he was smart, he was the best. And by a wonderful coincidence, his son, Michael, Herschel died when Michael was about 1.5 years old, so Michael really didn't know him. But Michael is in the current production of Fiddler. He plays the innkeeper. And he has his father's boots from his costume that he wore in Tevye, and he wears his father's boots.
Wow. Are you happy with the current revival of Fiddler on Broadway and also She Loves Me?
I'm ecstatic about both revivals. Both of them were directed by brilliant directors. Bart Scher did Fiddler, and Scott Ellis did She Loves Me. Scott Ellis had done She Loves Me once before in the 90s, so that he knows the show, and I'm delighted that he chose to do it again, because I think this version is even better, and the casts of both shows are just stunning. So I am thrilled with both of them.
Ice cream, he brought me ice cream, vanilla ice cream, imagine that ice cream, and for the first time we were together without a scratch. Friendly, he was so friendly, that isn't like him, I'm silly star. Wonders never cease, wonders never cease, it's been almost a day.
I'm tingling, such delicious tingles. I'm trembling, what the hell does that mean? I'm freezing, that's because it's cold out. And still I'm incandescent, and like some adolescent, I'd like to scrawl on every wall I see. She loves me, she loves me.
Do you have anything to say in terms of the casting of these shows or recasting of these shows?
I was there for the casting of the shows. Mostly, I left it up to the director. I could see that his choices were wonderful. So if I had protests, I would protest, but that was rarely necessary. My function in both of the shows mostly has been going around and making sure that whoever the actor is that has a song to sing understands thoroughly what the song is about and how to sing it and how to sing it most effectively. That I can be of some help with.
Sheldon, are you aware of these classic shows, with this classic music, have been able to be so current and brought up to date that everyone can enjoy them?
That's always a worry when you know that a show is being revived that you wrote 50 years ago and more, and you think our contemporary audience is going to buy them. And when I look at these shows, I'm proud of myself because I think they're so human, they're so true that there's nothing that's dated about them. They are as current today as they were the day we wrote them.
And the music will live forever, won't it?
Well, Jerry Bach's music is wonderful. What can I say? Yeah.
But you're responsible for all the words.
I'm responsible for the lyrics, and I like to think that it was the lyrics that may have inspired Jerry to write some of the music, but I know that half the music was written before I wrote any lyrics. The way we worked was that Jerry would go into his studio and work on songs, and then he would send me a tape, and on the tape there might be 8 to 12 songs, and he'd say, Sheldon, I think this one's for the Butcher. Sheldon, I think this one's for Tevye. And I would listen to the music and get so excited about it, I couldn't wait to put lyrics to it.
Wow. Unbelievable. You're a genius. Tell me about the Tony Awards this Sunday.
About the Tony Awards?
Are you going to present, or are you going to get any?
Oh, I'm being given a Lifetime Achievement Award, which is very touching to me. And, of course, in my little speech, I will include Jerry Bach, and I will include the other composers that I've worked with, because left to myself, I would be writing little poems, but they made them into musical theater pieces.
Is this the first Tony Award you've ever gotten?
No, I have a Tony Award for Fiorello, and I have one for Fiddler. But this is a special award, a Lifetime Achievement Award. That's really something unusual.
Thank you. If I didn't deserve it, this would be embarrassing. I want to thank the Tony Committee for this extraordinary honor. As a lyricist, my job is to write entertaining and intelligent verses. Then it's up to my composer to take these verses and turn them into effective musical theater pieces, which is why I want to share this award with my composers. First and foremost, of course, Jerry Bach. But I've worked with a good many others: Cy Coleman, Marvin Hamlish, Joe Raposo, Michel Legrand, Richard Rogers, Mary Rogers, Arnold Black, and David Baker. I think most of you will agree that a life in the theater calls for enormous emotional support, and for that, I want to thank my wife of 50 years, my beautiful Margie. My son Matt, who's here tonight, and my daughter Beth and her husband Ryan. So again, I thank the Tony Committee for this extraordinary honor.
As far as all the lyrics you've written to all of these great classic songs, which is the one that sums up your life, or the one you're most proud of?
I would not try to answer that, but what I would love you to do, Barry, is ask somebody else, somebody you think is qualified, ask them what that answer might be, because I'd love to hear it. I looking over the body of my work, every song is part of me, and I wouldn't even try to figure out which one represents me more than the others.
You don't have a personal favorite?
I don't have a personal favorite. I wouldn't dare.
Did you write, these songs when you were channeling God's, direction to write these great songs and these great lyrics?
No. The show songs, of course, are all dependent on the story and the book, so that I'm very dependent on the book writer. I read his Joe Stein's dialogue, Sherman Yellen's dialogue, Joe Mastroff's dialogue. I see what the characters are. I know what the situation is, and then I try and imagine what would that character say. It's not me speaking, it's the character. Of course, basically it's me speaking, and it's part of my experience, part of my life. But I do my best to be true to who that character is, man or woman. What are they feeling? What are they thinking? What would they really say in that moment to make it real?
So the music comes first, and then your lyrics come second.
With Jerry Bach and I, after we parted company, I went through all of our songs to see which came first more often. And I was genuinely surprised to find that it was 50-50. Half the time music came first, half the time lyrics came first.
Is there any star you wanted to work with that you haven't had a chance to?
Streisand, I think, yeah. She did one, at a concert, she did one of the songs from She Loves Me, and it was just glorious. And also, She did a film where she plays a young Jewish boy.
Yentl.
Yentl. That's a great film, and I saw it recently, and I thought, oh my God, to have the privilege of writing for her would be really something.
How do they contact you, Sheldon?
I now have an agent, Susan Weaving, who works for William Morris Endeavor.
Fabulous.
Yeah.
Do you have a website?
No, I don't. I'm afraid of spiders.
Good day. How are you this beautiful day? Isn't this a beautiful morning? Very. AC Poss, how's this? That's an awfully elegant pose, but is all that elegance necessary? Why not? You and I work for Maricheks, don't we? We're not a butcher or an ironmonger's. We're a perfumery. When I ride my bike, people see what Maricheks like. So I think it's very important that I look my best.
And how many people did you run over today?
Not one.
Well, it's early.
Here comes Miss Ritter.
Ah.
She spent the night with Mr. Kadai.
Again?
Well, they always kiss goodbye at the newsagents. Then she walks around the square to make us think she's been home.
Good morning.
Good day.
How are you this glorious day? Have you seen a lovelier morning?
Never.
It's too nice a day to be inside shuffling soap. I have no more energy whatsoever. Anybody mind if I take the day off? Ah, Pat, why aren't you old enough to take me away from all this?
I'm old enough.
And then marry me. And I can hand you my notice.
Here's Mr. Kadai.
Good morning.
Good day.
How are you this radiant day? What a rare, magnificent morning.
Is it?
Good morning, my dear. How are you this ravishing day? Do you know you've never looked more exquisite?
Thank you, kind sir.
What a lovely dress.
It's the same one as she had on yesterday, Mr. Kadai.
Oh, Mr. Novak. Good morning.
Good day.
Isn't that a beautiful sky? What a perfect sample of summer weather. It's too nice a day to be indoors counting out change. What a waste of holiday weather. All together, let's all run away.
Wonder what would happen if we did just run away.
We could leave a note that says we won't be in today. Why not have a picnic?
I could bring my wife's preserves. Champagne might be nice with heart or not. It's too nice a day.
It's stuck inside of us.
We won't be getting out.
Won't be getting out
Sometimes. It's so nice
to
be floating under a
tree.
So we'll all be out of a job.
If it costs that much to get suntan,
I'll stay untanned.
Pale but solvent.
A picnic. A picnic.
Oh, well. Well, Mr. Miller, was the chicken the usual success? Last night, your weekly dinner with Mr. and Mrs. Marichek.
Oh. Did you talk to Mr. Marichek about replacing Miss Horvath?
Oh, I mentioned it.
And?
Well, absolutely not. After all, with business the way it's been. Yes, but he's bound to pick up now that Hammersmith's is closed.
Have you ever tried their hand cream? No. I wonder if it's any good.
Good? My dear woman, my wife has been using Marichek's hand cream for years. In fact, I often wonder, why are their products always so much better than anyone else's?
You should know, Mr. Marichek.
Good morning, Mr. Marichek.
Good day.
Sheldon, I have to talk to you about your quick acceptance speech at the Tony Awards. What was going on there?
Oh, I was very disappointed. I had gotten my award before the actual broadcast, and I had prepared a speech that was about a minute and a half long. It said everything that I wanted to say, and the speech went very well. Then when I saw the broadcast, I was disappointed to find that they only used one sentence of that speech. It was on and off in 10 seconds, and a lot of people have emailed me and said, why was that so short? And all I can say is I don't know, but it was very disappointing.
What was the award for?
It was a Lifetime Achievement Award, and in my speech, I had included the composers I've worked with, because I said the Lifetime Achievement Award certainly was as much for the composers as for me, because left to myself, I just wrote verses, and it was the composers who turned those verses into wonderful theater songs.
That's terrific. So it was a total of, 10 minutes of speech cut down to 30 seconds, or 1 minute?
Well, my speech was about a minute and a half long, but on the program, they cut it down to about 10 seconds. It was just one sentence, and that's why it was so disappointing.
And this aired on CBS, right? During the Tony Award telecast.
Yeah. I believe.
Now, in addition, I'm sorry, go ahead. What?
No, as far as I remember, it was CBS.
And they can also see it if they want to catch a glimpse of this by ringing it up on YouTube, right?
Yes. Yeah, we were disappointed. We thought that all we could see was the actual broadcast. And then my daughter out in California said, no, if we went to YouTube, we could find my entire speech, the speech that I made before the program began. So we were delighted about that.
How do they ring it up on YouTube?
I have no idea. That's a technical question I can't.
Sheldon HARNICK acceptance speech, right?
I imagine so, yes.
In addition, we have to talk about the roles that I saw casted for Fiddler in a revival one time on Broadway, and they were non-traditional casting roles, because you had Tevye, played by Harvey Fierstein, and Golda, played by Rosie O'Donnell. Tell me about that. That was so interesting. I couldn't understand why and how that happened.
We knew that Harvey Fierstein was a fine actor with great humor. Our one worry was whether he could sing the role, because Harvey has this unique voice that's kind of like a growl. And what we discovered was that Harvey is extremely musical, and he knew exactly how to use his voice so that he could turn that growl into a very pleasant singing voice. He could handle the musical requirements of the show beautifully. So that was a wonderful surprise. As far as Rosie O'Donnell, I guess the surprise was that she gives the impression of being this very Irish lady, and here she's playing Tevye's wife, a Jewish lady. But what moved me, and that's the correct word, I was moved. She worked so hard at it. She was so dedicated to it. She didn't fool around at all. She wanted to do that. She wanted to recreate that lady on the stage, and she did. She was terrific in the role.
And they remembered all their lines, right? And all the song lyrics.
Yes, they remembered all their lines. I think that's part of what makes a professional actor. They can remember all their lines. That's one of the reasons that I never wanted to be an actor. I was terrified of having to remember lines. And in fact, when I do backers auditions and things like that, I always have the script in front of me. I never try to memorize anything because I'm terrible at it. So, but if I have the lyric in front of me, then I'm fine.
What was the chemistry like between Rosie O'Donnell and Harvey Fierstein, who are both gay?
It was beautiful. Whether they were gay or not didn't matter. They're actors, and both of them are good actors, so that they disappeared into their roles. He became Tevye, she became Tevye's wife, and the chemistry was superb. They were both wonderful in the roles.
And how were the reviews?
Well, one of the, I think it was in a Jewish newspaper, there was one rather nasty review which faulted us for saying, how can you have a gay man playing Tevye and so forth, which was just so unfair, because on stage what you saw was a wonderful actor bringing the character of Tevye to vivid life. You know, so his review was just misspoken. Most of the other reviews were fine, and I think they were all a little surprised by how good Harvey was and how good Rosie O'Donnell was in the roles. I don't know what they expected, but the reviews, I think, on the whole, were very good.
Now I have a question for you. I was told that a street was named in your honor on Broadway and 42nd, 3rd?
It was around 53rd and Broadway, and there was a big ceremony for it where somebody from the mayor's office came and made a speech, and cast members from both Fiddler on the Roof and She Loves Me came. Both of those theaters are in the area, and it was very exciting. There was a bus that the city supplied, but the huge disappointment was that about 3 days later, I took my sister. She came in from New Jersey and the residence home where she lives. I took her, I think, to see Fiddler, and on the way, we stopped at Broadway and 53rd. I wanted to show her the sign, Harnick and Bach Way, and to my horror, the sign was gone, and it's still gone. So I have written the mayor's office and saying, why did you put up a sign and then take it down so quickly? But so far, I haven't heard. So that's a very disappointing mystery.
Oh, that's
the sign is gone. Yeah.
And what was the street renamed to? What was the renaming of the street called?
They called it Harnick and Bach Way. One of my friends said, how come they didn't call it, you were always referred to as Bach and Harnick, so how come they didn't call it Bach and Harnick Way? I said, I don't know. I had nothing to do with the street sign.
Maybe we should have a write-in campaign to put that street sign back up.
I think that would be wonderful. I think the whole city should go on strike.
I think that's a great idea. You hear that, de Blasio? Would you speak to de Blasio about this or no?
If I could, I would. He wrote me, as a matter of fact, he wrote me a very nice letter congratulating me on my Tony Award and so forth, which was unexpected. And I took that opportunity to write him back and thank him for his letter, but to complain about the fact that the street sign was gone. And I thought, surely somebody in his office will read that and maybe do something about it. But I wrote the letter about 2 weeks ago, and I haven't heard from the mayor's office.
Where is the street sign? Is it maybe somewhere in Harlem now?
I have no idea.
Maybe
friends of mine are trying to find out where it's disappeared. Luckily, my son took a beautiful picture of it, so if nothing else, we have a picture of the Harnick and Bach Way sign.
And they're going to drop that in. Maybe it ended up on Essex Street. You have no idea, right?
On Essex Street, that could be.
Now, we have to talk about your future show coming up.
Well, there's a couple of things going on. About a month and a half ago, I was in Texas. I wrote the libretto for a one-act opera about Lady Bird Johnson. This was commissioned, This was commissioned by the opera department at Texas State University. The man who runs it is named Sam Mungo, and he had.
Is Lady Bird Johnson still alive?
No, I don't believe she's still alive. Her daughters are still alive, and one of them came to the production of the opera, and I must say, she said that her spirits were lifted by it. But the composer is a West Coast composer, Henry Mollicone. We wrote it, and I knew very little about Lady Bird before I began to work on the opera, but the more I read about her, the more I liked her. She was a woman of great integrity and intelligence, so it was fun to write about her. Anyway, that's one project. The other is a musical called Dragons, which is based on actually a Russian play called The Dragon. And I've been working on that for years. I finally got it right, I think. And I've done a demo record, and now I'm going to see whether I can get a production on it. Those are the two current productions. We've given, now that Lady Bird has had its premiere down in Texas, we've given it to our publisher, and we're hoping that the publisher will be able to get more productions of it. It's a lovely.
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it runs about an hour, and if I do say so myself, I think it's a lovely piece. Henry Mollicone did a beautiful score for it.
Oh, that's fantastic. In the meantime, let me ask you about the revivals of your classic shows, Fiddler on the Roof, and of course She Loves Me, which is currently revived again on Broadway now. What are the other shows that are completely revived, on a regular cycle? Is it The Rothschilds? Is it, your other shows?
I think the show that gets done more is Fiorello. The Rothschild and Sons, I think people feel that it's maybe Jewish and maybe special. But towards the end of last summer, we did a new version of it called Rothschild and Sons. And we had a presentation of it at the Little York Theater off Broadway, and it was received with great enthusiasm. Our producer is now trying to line up a production of it in London, and I'm not sure whether he's going to be able to do that, but we're also trying to line up another off-Broadway production of it. It turned out it's a very effective piece.
Who was the original cast members of that show? The Rothschild? Al Linden, right?
Was the patriarch of the family, the founder of the Rothschild clan, and he won a Tony for his role.
That was Al Linden, right?
That was Al Linden. In this version, we had a wonderful actor named Robert Cuccioli, who, if you remember, was a Hyde. Yeah, he's a fine actor and a charming personality.
And has an incredible voice.
Yeah, and he sings beautifully.
Let me ask you this. If we bring back a revival again next year of Fiddler on the Roof, who would you like to see in the roles as far as maybe non-traditional casting goes? Can we have African Americans play those roles?
That's an interesting question. I think it's hard for me to imagine it with an African American because it is a role about a Jewish man in the Ukraine. So it's a little hard to imagine an African American in that role. However, in the revival of the Rothschilds, one of the 5 Rothschild sons, who are all Jewish, of course, we had an African American, and it was quite acceptable. So these days, it's impossible to say how that would work, whether it would work or not. But I haven't even thought about that because the current revival, featuring Danny Burston, who's a wonderful Tevye, the current revival is doing first-rate business and shows no signs of closing anytime soon, so I don't even worry about a future production.
What about She Loves Me?
She Loves Me is a gorgeous production, but it's been produced by the Roundabout Theater Company, and they do subscription runs. So the subscription was supposed to run through June, and that was supposed to be it. But it's been successful enough so that Todd Hames, who is in charge of the Roundabout Theater Company, Todd extended it into July. At the moment, it's scheduled to close on July 10th, and already I'm heartsick because it's a beautiful production, and I long for more people to see it. But it's going to be live streamed. I'm not even sure what that means, but it's going to be live streamed on June 30th. So presumably people around the country will be able to see it on their computers.
Where will it be streamed, on PBS?
I can't answer. I don't know the answer to that question.
Wow. You're giving away one of your classic musicals for free?
No, I understand that there will be a charge, but it's a very nominal charge. It's about $9.99. That's my understanding. So for $10, people will be able to see something that if they saw it in the theater, it would cost them much more.
Pay-per-view, right?
Yeah.
Now we have to talk about you being a real inspiration for upcoming talent.
Well, for writing, my advice has always been just continue to write and try and get what you've written produced anywhere that you can, any venue at all, so that you can see it in front of an audience, because you learn more from a production in front of an audience than anywhere else. Audiences tell you where you've succeeded and where you've failed.
Terrific, Sheldon. Thank you so much.
Do you want to say anything else before we leave?
Just goodbye.
We love you, Sheldon Harnick.
Thank you. Thank you, Barry. You're very.
Say something else.
You're very kind.
Oh, you're the best.
And quite handsome.
Love you. Maybe you could write a musical about my life.